Hi, it's time for Good Energy, and I'm Dr. Julie, and today is Bodyful Day 107. We are working our way through sleep and the senses, and today is about the vestibular system. Now, I should have grabbed my stool. Today, we are going to be digging into how the vestibular system can contribute to your sleep. All right, let's go ahead and take a deep breath in. And release. Deep breath in, expand, 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 and tuck. And release. And think about any stressors or gunk in your day. Take a deep breath in. And release. All right, so how does the vestibular system affect our sleep? Well, it's interesting because in the past when we've talked about the vestibular system, we have talked about the move it or lose it approach. And I think that is what comes into play here. We know that babies fall asleep in cars all the time. Toddlers fall asleep in cars. Kids fall asleep in cars. And some people do fall asleep in cars really easily. But there are a lot of us who have the inability to fall asleep in any moving object, especially because we are not in control at the time when we tell ourselves it's time to go to sleep. So today, we're going to explore this concept of vestibular, and remember, our approach to all of this is to help us sleep better by using our senses and identifying what in our bed, in our bedroom, in our area is helping or not helping with our sleep. So a couple of things we can look at. As adults, we are not rocked to sleep very often, but it is quite possible that a rocking motion, given that we know that kids easily fall asleep in a rocking motion, it's possible that a rocking motion would help us. And I know at one point in time there was a machine out that you could put on a kid's crib that would allow it to rock. And then I think there was something wrong with it, and it was pulled because of danger. But the concept is still there. If you are one of those people that really enjoys sleeping on planes or trains or buses or cars, anything that moves, then one would expect that if you add a movement component to your bed, that you would be able to take a bigger breath in. Now, for those of us who have a tendency to not be able to fall asleep in those places, the question is it a move it or lose it thing? So clearly, we could go ahead and ask our parents and say, hey, did we fall asleep in the car a lot? The odds are pretty likely that you did. So there is something about that shift from being a passenger to being a driver that has clicked in your mind that you cannot fall asleep, which is actually, honestly, a good thing. But in certain situations like taking international flights where you should fall asleep and you don't, that is the difficulty. And so figuring out how to balance that vestibular challenge is a very interesting one. Unfortunately, today is not a day I have any answers for you because I am one of the people who cannot really fall asleep in a car or really fall asleep in a plane or really fall asleep in a train. I just can't do it. Even though I trust who's driving, I trust the train, I have a fear of heights and planes, so that's I can't do that one. I can't say I trust that one. But there is a sense that when I close my eyes on a plane, The fact that I feel like I am physically floating is negative for me. And so taking a deep breath in while I am flying is very difficult because of the sense of floating and not actually being grounded. So would there be something that I could do that would help with that? Well, we could obviously move into conscious breathing. We could really force oxygen in and out. Meditation, in general, what I could do is I could buffer up all of my other senses with the hope that I could downplay my vestibular sense enough that I could calm down. So that is something to think about, especially when you are in a car or on a plane or on a train and you really do seriously need some sleep. What other ways, if you know that your vestibular system is not going to allow you to fall asleep because of the sense of motion or the sense of floating, what other things can you add that would help? And from my perspective, I always start with noise canceling headphones and earplugs. Sounds like overkill, but in my world it quiets everything down enough that I can relax that part of my nervous system. And while I cannot sleep, I can at least meditate, close my eyes, listen to some music, and calm my system down. So you got to figure it out for yourself, because clearly motion and sleeping don't always go together. But if they do, and you're not one of the people who is comforted by the vestibular sense of motion while you're sleeping, but instead you are distracted and stressed by it, you've got to use your other senses to buffer the stress of motion while you're sleeping. In the meantime, I hope that your bed doesn't move too much while you sleep, and if you don't want it to. If you do, see if you can find a way to, mosquito, move your bed in order to help you sleep better. All right, we'll come back with something that's a little bit more pertinent to sleeping in your bed tomorrow. Let's take a deep breath in and release. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.